So what is the meaning of IAC? Infrastructure
Is it cloud?
as a code, or IAC we can call as IAC infrastructure as a code. Okay, say what is the main purpose of cloud? Lot of companies are preferring is like we need to go for IAC. We need to go with that. We are getting more reusability. Okay, so we are getting more reusability. What is that meaning of reusability? Is say suppose every day I want to create 200 resources. Manually provisioning those 200 resources is time consuming kind of thing. In order to avoid that one, we are going to use the IAC kind of solutions. In the DevOps, okay, say IAC plays vital role. Okay, say then I have a doubt here. Uh, it's what is the meaning of IAC?
Infrastructure as a code, so that in that
Infrastructure as a code, then is it a developer kind of job role or admin or DevOps kind of job role?
it's a DevOps kind of job role. So in that
It's
we
a,
do
it's a pure DevOps kind of job role. As the name suggests, it's infrastructure as a code doesn't mean it's a developer kind of job role. Okay, so now here what is the meaning of the infrastructure as a code is in the DevOps, IAC plays the vital role. Okay, so then here infrastructure as a code is like the provisioning of resources and managing the resources, then even termination of the resources. All those we are going to create. But here it's not the programming kind of language. Most of the script we are using is a human readable kind of format. Human readable scripts we have. That's easy to manage. It's not the developer kind of job role. Instead of manually clicking next, say suppose we have a lot of next options, manually provisioning a lot of resources, cleaning of those resources is very challenging kind of thing. In order to avoid that one, okay, say we are going to use IAC kind of solutions. So what is the main advantage of using the IAC is the first advantage of the IAC is say there are a lot of IAC solutions. We are generalizing this. Most of the benefits will come for any of that IAC kind of solution. The main advantage is reusability. So the main advantage is the reusability. What is the meaning of reusability is once I prepare this code, multiple teams, multiple projects also can reuse that. That is the main advantage. Then we are going to get speed. The in the agile kind of methodology, at the rapidness we need to deliver those applications, and that speed we are going to get it through the IAC kind of solution. The third advantage is we have the automation is there. Manually, you need to provision those resources. Okay, then even we can manage security compliances. Lot of compliances we can follow in the companies when we are using the IAC kind of solutions, and we can manage the version control with the source code. Also, we can control the infrastructure provisioning. So that's what a lot of companies are expecting. Okay, then even we can do rollback. If anything goes wrong, we can do the rollback, and the disaster recovery also is very easy in the IAC environment. Manually doing that is very like challenging. Then what may be the disadvantage? What may be the disadvantage of this?
More cost.
Okay, so now like not cost because it's not that much expensive. Only initially the learning curve is the challenge. That means all the employees in our company may not have the expertise of this kind of automation. Still, they prefer to use manual kind of methods. That kind of people are going to be fired in the companies. Okay, so definitely we need the automation solutions, and we have a very simple infrastructure as a code kind of scripts we have, and from this we are going to manage. So from this we are going to manage. Okay, so then here we have lot of advantages. The disadvantage is like learning curve. Okay, so people required, and for one or two resources, again, it's not a best solution. But when we have a large scale infrastructure, Okay, so this is the best solution. Learning curve, and we require technical expertise people. That is the purpose we are learning here.
There also one more thing, sir, like
Okay, so that learning curve itself is the opportunity for us. Then we are not going to use the code, means here we are not using Python or .NET or Java or Go language kind of tools. So what we are trying to use is we are using very simple YAML or JSON or like domain specific languages. What is the domain specific language is that particular product owner, say if I go for a Terraform kind of tool, Terraform have their own template called as HCL. So what is the Terraform is using is not YAML or JSON. Terraform is using their own HCL. It's a very simple declarative kind of updates. We don't have too much programming logic. Even a layman also can understand these all. Okay, so even a layman also can understand these all the things we can do. And even in the CI/CD pipeline also, the infrastructure as a code very vital role is going to perform. Okay, so it performs a vital role. Then what are the IAC solutions we have in the market? Terraform is the leader. Say Terraform is the leader in IAC. Okay, infrastructure as a code. If we go for the AWS, in the AWS we have CloudFormation is their AWS solution. AWS CloudFormation is a AWS solution. And if you go to the Azure, okay, Azure have ARM templates or Azure Resource Manager templates we have, or we can use Biceps also. So Bicep also is one of the like Azure IAC kind of solution. But like a lot of people are expecting, so we require a good knowledge on ARM templates, CloudFormation, Biceps, but Terraform is the leader. Okay, so Terraform is using which programming language?
SC code.
So Terraform is using which programming language? So Terraform is using their own domain-specific language called as HCL. Okay, so now here they have HCL is that HCL stands for HashiCorp configuration language. What is the meaning of HashiCorp? HashiCorp is the company who developed Terraform. Okay, so we'll come to Terraform also in the next classes. And AWS have their own inbuilt solution that is called as CloudFormation. AWS is called as CloudFormation, and the CloudFormation they're using one simple declarative kind of language, JSON or YAML, and even ARM templates or Biceps also mostly using JSON or YAML. There is no simple programming language compared to YAML in the world. That is not a programming kind of skill. It's a simple scripting kind of language. Okay, then like here, if you come to the AWS CloudFormation, already before CloudFormation also Terraform is there. Okay, if then like why people prefer to Terraform is Terraform skills. Like a lot of people having that competency before CloudFormation also. That's the reason they're continuing with the Terraform, and rich support is available. Lot of enterprise features are available. Okay, so we have a lot of features by using CloudFormation. So all these days, manually we provision those resources, but it's not an enterprise use case. We may have some hundreds of resources need to be provisioned every day, and morning to evening, that takes more time. And I need to clean up at the dev and the QA environments. Again, next day I need to create these all here, like it's very tough. With a small human understandable language, we need to perform the code, then the CloudFormation is the best solution. So it's an AWS, say AWS is inbuilt solution. Okay, so now here we have the CloudFormation templates, that programs we are writing in the templates, and those templates are written in which language? Either YAML or JSON kind of scripting they're going to use. You want to create a VPC, you want to create a VPC resources like subnets, NACL, security group, internet gateway, EC2 instances, ECS, EKS, RDS, IAM, whatnot. Every resource can be provisioned through the IAC. Okay, it's a declarative kind of programming. Okay, so then the main advantages again, reusability, repeatability, version control, automation, security, rollback support, we are getting with the CloudFormation. Okay, so now here we have two terminologies we need to understand, or three terms I'll tell. One is a stack, then a stack set, then the third one is a template. So what is the meaning of stack? Is a group of resources provisioned through CloudFormation is called as a stack. Okay, so a group of resources provisioned through like a CloudFormation is called as a stack. What is the concept of the stack is I want 20 resources, maybe two VPCs, each VPC maybe four subnets, that means 4 into 2, 8 subnets, then two NAT gateways, two like internet gateways, four NACLs, four security groups, one VPC peering, then in the like 4 or 8 subnets, I want 8 instances, IAM, S3 buckets, CloudWatch, these all around 40 to 50 resources I want in one region, one account. Okay, say stack is nothing but group of AWS resources we can create in one region and like one account. Okay, so that means using the stack, it's not possible provision those 40 resources or 100 resources what you want to provision in multiple regions. It's not possible. How we can create those? How we can create them? By using only like a stack sets only on the multiple regions we can create. Okay, on the stack sets only we can create. On the stacks, it's not possible. So what is your understanding of stack? What is your understanding of the stack?
Stack means
The stack, we want to create around 40 or 100 resources. Those all as a group we are creating in the stack. And whenever the stack is created, all the resources are getting created. But all those resources are in under one region and one account. Then what is stack set? What is stack set?
Implementing stacks in multi-region and
Say suppose I want to create a group of AWS resources in multiple regions or multiple accounts, cross accounts I want to create, then we are going to use the stack sets. Then I want to use the stack sets. So stack is the group of resources in one region, and for the stack or stack set, we are going to use like template. So what is the meaning of template is, okay, so now here we are going to create all the code we are keeping in the template. So either YAML or JSON, we are going to define all the resources in the YAML or JSON kind of format. Okay, so either for the stack or stack set, we have the template and from the template, we are going to create those resources. Okay, those resources are getting created. So now here we are going to use either YAML or JSON file. So now what we need to do is, so first we need to, so what are the resources you want? We can write the YAML code. So we can write the YAML code. So once we write the YAML code, then verify, then maybe testing, all that also we need to perform. Then like we need to upload to CloudFormation, or optionally we can upload to S3 also. That S3 URL also we can give. Okay, so S3 URL also we can give. Then you can launch a stack or stack set, depends upon your requirement. Then in the events, you can see whatever the resources are getting created, whether that stack is success or failure. Okay, then here if you delete the stack, okay, I have a doubt here. If I delete the stack, what is going to happen to the existing resources? If I delete the stack, what is going to happen to my existing resources? Okay, so if I delete my stack, so I assume I created 40 resources, whether those 40 resources are getting created or deleted.
Deleted.
Okay, so if I delete a stack or stack set, all the corresponding resources are getting deleted also. All the corresponding resources also getting deleted. Okay, so any doubts on this?
So the resources which are associated with that particular stack, right, will get created or deleted.
Yes, yes. So if you say even we can keep a
Okay.
prevention also, delete prevention kind of option we have. So with that, what is going to happen is like we can delete if you don't want the, sorry, we can keep someone accidentally deleted that stack also, we can keep a prevention kind of thing.
Okay. So we can restore.
No, not restoring. We are not allowing to delete itself.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Same resources not possible. Again, we can create the stack and that will create it. Okay. So what is the difference between stack and stack sets?
Stack is within the region and stack set will be
On the multiple
regions.
accounts or
And
multiple regions, if we want to
resources
provision the
actually.
resources,
And multiple
then we
regions.
need to go for stack sets.
Stack sets.
Okay. So then here we have a simple stack we have. Then try to understand one more concept is there. Change set. So what is the concept of change set is, assume I want 40 resources. Okay, those 40 resources are provisioned through CloudFormation. Okay, then assume in my CloudFormation one resource is there called as a security group. That I want to do some change. Say suppose I have added 80 and 22. Now 443 and 3306 for SQL server also I need to open. That is called as a change in the existing resource. Normally what we'll do is we'll go to security group and we'll edit that security group inbound rule, add rule. We're adding this, right? But if that resource has been created through CloudFormation, manually doing the changes are not at all recommended. So now, like if any change need to be done, okay, that change need to be done in the CloudFormation environment through the change sets itself. Okay, so if any changes need to be performed, those changes manually we shouldn't do, and those changes need to be performed through change set only we need to create. Okay, say, can you tell me one use case? So already we have created some resources, but those resources again you need to create through change sets. Then those resources we need to create it through the change sets. Manually, if we do that changes, okay, then your stack is going to be drifted. What is the meaning of drifted is that actual resources and CloudFormation template resources are not matching. Okay, so those are not matching. So that state is called as drifted. That state is called as the drifted. So suppose, can you tell me in which use case you are going to use the drift? So when you are going to get the drift is, actually we created the resources through CloudFormation, but those resources
Are not
have been not like modified or not like maybe it's deleted or modified, then that state of the cloud formation is that state of the resources are called as drifted. In order to avoid that kind of drift, again you need to come to your cloud formation template. As per the actual resources, you try to modify those resources. Okay, so actually you need to, but actually in the real time, say if someone asks to change that any resources, those resources need to be changed through. Those resources need to be changed through
Insert.
change sets. Okay, so in which use case you are going to use the change sets? If any of the changes need to be performed or new resources need to be added, okay, existing resources need to be deleted, all these need to be done through the change sets itself. Manually changing those changes are not at all accepted in the cloud formation. The same thing applies even to Terraform also. Okay, the same thing applies to the Terraform also. It applies the same rule. Okay. So then, like here we have one more important resource is there. That's concept is there called as a importing of the resources. So in which use case you are going to use the importing of the resources is, we don't know the concept of cloud formation, but already the resources have been created before. The resources has been created. Those resources has been created through like other than cloud formation, CLI or GUI. From that we created those resources. But now like from our from today onwards, our client decided to go for manual method itself. Sorry, we need to go for IAC method itself. At that moment, we need to go for. At that moment, we need to go for
Cloud formation.
cloud formation itself. We need to use. At that moment, we need to use the cloud formation. What is going to happen with the cloud formation importing is those manually created resources. First, we need to import to our cloud formation. Then from next time onwards, we need to manage those resources also through cloud formation itself. Okay, so can you tell me the use case when we are going to use the importing of the resources? So in which use case you are going to use the importing of resources?
Some if you want to some changes, so that time
Yeah, if already the resources have been created manually, some other method, but now we need to manage them through
cloud formation.
the cloud formation, then we need to use the cloud formation templates we need to use. So that is the main advantage of using the cloud formation templates. Yeah, any doubts on this? Then one more important point is there. Assume in my cloud formation template, I have 40 resources. Among these 40 resources, what happened is like only 20 resources got created, 21st resource got failure. Then what is the default behavior in the cloud formation is, if any of those resources have been deleted, okay, sorry, not able to create, then cloud formation will like roll back, and even those 20 resources which have been created also are going to be reverted back. By default, that is the behavior. What is that behavior? If in the middle, if any of the resources have been failed, what is the default behavior is? What is the default behavior?
it will revert.
Yeah, those resources it will revert, and those created resources also is going to be reverted back. Those created resources also is going to be reverting back. So that is the by default behavior is going to happen with the cloud formation. And if I want to send an email, if my cloud formation template is success or failure, can you tell me what is the service we need to use? If my cloud formation
SNS.
template is failure, what is the service I need to use?
SNS.
Yeah, we can integrate with the SNS kind of thing. Then what is going to happen with the SNS is if we can send an alert also. So we can send an email whether that is success or failure. So whether that is success or failure also, we can send an email also. Okay, so that is also we can do. If any of the failure or the success happened also, we can send a notification. Then here there is one more concept is there called as a nested stack. What is the concept of the nested stack is one stack is going to call another stack, then that is called as nested stack. So one stack is calling another stack, then that is called as nested stack. So suppose here we have the one stack is going to call the another stack. That means internally I link it to another stack while executing one stack. I created 20 resource. 24th resource is another CloudFormation stack I called. That may create another 20 resources. Like this, if you create, that is called as nested stack. That is called as nested stack. Okay, say we have a lot of resources are there, even we can call like this. If we have a lot of resources are there, we can call the nested stacks also. So one stack is going to call another stack. So that is called as nested stack. So one stack is going to call the another stack. Okay, so then so how the syntax of the CloudFormation template it looks, what are the contents of those templates, all those we'll discuss. The CloudFormation supports which scripting, either YAML or JSON. So a lot of people may be coming from the JavaScript background. They prefer to use JSON, but we don't know JavaScript background also. These kind of people, DevOps kind of people will prefer to use YAML. Okay, YAML is a very simple kind of scripting. So now here we can write that either using JSON or YAML kind of thing, which is YAML is a very easy to human readable kind of thing also. So now here in the JSON or YAML, we have these AWS template format version, description, metadata, parameters, rules, mappings, conditions, transforms, resource, or YAML. Say in the YAML code also, most of these all will contains. We have lot of options, but in the real time we don't use. Technically, a CloudFormation template consists of these all the main components we have. Okay, so then here first one is AWS template format version. To understand which version of API we are using like this, here we are going to use the AWS template version we are going to use. Then second one, description. Third one, metadata. Say here mostly we are going to use AWS template format version, brief description about that what that template is going to do. Then we'll have the parameters, then actual resources, then outputs. Say here we have a lot of other things, right? Can you tell me all these? Say we have the AWS template format version, description, metadata, parameters, rules, mappings, conditions. Okay, then we have transform and resources, and finally we have the outputs. Among all these, if we want to keep only one thing, okay, that's mandatory. What we need to use is, that's what we need to use is resource block is mandatory. Okay, so that means only one thing you want to keep, that is resource block. Remaining all are optional, but it's mandatory. Like you can tell in your templates, you have template format, version, description, parameters. Optionally, we can have rules and mappings, conditions, then resources and output values. So these all the things we are going to store in the real time. Okay, yeah. Any doubts on this? So one thing which mandatory we need to keep, that is resources. Now we are going to enhance or we are going to reuse that script by using the parameters. So parameters are nothing but input values. I'll tell one example. So here we are going to create a EC2 instance. So now what are the details you are giving? Like I'm giving a name, then I'm giving the like AMI instance type. Okay, so then we are going to choose the VPC subnets, then network groups, sorry, security groups, then key pairs, EBS volumes. Say these all other guy may require other details. Okay, if I keep those all as the variables, as the name suggests, the parameters are variables, means we can pass different values, depends upon our requirement, but the script is same. The script is same. Then what is the advantage we are getting is, what is the advantage we are getting?
Reusability.
The more reusability we are going to get it with this kind of automation. The more reusability we are going to get it with this kind of automation. Okay, so then you no need to provision those resources again. Again, you no need to write down the script. So what is your understanding of parameters? Are nothing but we can reuse those parameters with the multiple values. Different people can reuse the same script. If I hard code all those values, I don't get the reusability. But always the automation will give return on investment if I have more like reusability is there. Otherwise, investing on the automation is a burden itself. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? Any doubts? So we are getting more reusability by using parameters. In that parameters, we have the mappings, conditions, those also we'll discuss. But another important one is resources. Can you tell me the examples of resources? The actual resources. I want to create a VPC. I want to create a subnet. I want to create a like a RDS. Okay, so route tables. So there are more than 700 plus resources we can use to provision through CloudFormation. Okay, so there are more than 700 plus resources we can create through the CloudFormation. That is the main advantage we are going to use the CloudFormation kind of templates. Okay, so then output values is, I'll tell one example from the EC2 wise itself. Do you know what is the public IP we are getting in the instance? At the time of provisioning, we don't know, right? When we are getting those? When the IP address would be created?
When we create an instance.
After provisioning, right?
Yes.
A lot of details would be there. We'll get confused, right? Where is public IP? Where is private IP? In the same way, even in the template also, we'll get a lot of details, but I don't want all the details. Which of the details important to me? Those resources itself I need to specify, and those details I'm calling that as like output values. Can you tell me the difference between input values and output values? That the parameters are nothing but the input values. And what are output values? After provisioning the resources, whatever the resources are getting created, Those are called as
Output values.
outputs. So you may have hundreds of resources. You no need to create all the resources as the output values. Among 20 or 30 resources, which are you required, those resources we can create as an output values. So I don't want all the 100 resources. I don't want. Okay, sorry. In the EC2 instance itself, I may get a lot of details. Public IP, private IP, VPC ID, subnet ID, EBS volume which attach. I don't want all the details. I want only the public IP. I won't get the instance ID. These outputs, maybe the inputs for next level of my automation. That's the reason important values. I'm going to store it as important values. I'm going to store as
Output
output values. So now these all the concepts we have even in the Terraform also. All these details we have in the Terraform also. And even CloudFormation now it supports, like we have a rich set of modules also we have. Okay. So, but in that Terraform, we need to need to use the modules. So whatever the scripts we have, reusable kind of scripts, like in that modules we are getting, it's a folder structure, or maybe we can call that as a framework. Even more reusability will come by using the modules also. More reusability will come by using the modules also we are going to get. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? Till now, any doubts? Okay. So then here, even in the template also we have. So if we go for any CloudFormation template, we have like we have the rules. Okay. We have the mappings and we have the conditions also we have. What are those also we'll discuss. So now here, like a CloudFormation template version is nothing but the date, and based on that is going to understand which API or SDK it need to use, and whether we are latest resources or old resources. Like this, we'll get the template format version we are getting. Okay. Say here, like we need to create the variables, then those all the resources what we have is like we have the metadata kind of thing, or parameters. What is the meaning of parameters? Parameters are the input values. So maybe variables kind of thing in the programming language, we need to declare as the parameters. Okay. So then the CloudFormation template will specify which version we want to use, and description, like if someone read that template, they need to understand what is the purpose of that template, and meta information, additional information, if we want to write to everyone, that meta information we can specify. And parameters are the values which the users can pass, depends upon their requirements. And we are getting more reusability by using the parameters. And mappings are nothing but it's a key value kind of store. If I use this region, this AMI ID, I need to use this region. If I use this AMI ID, I need to use. Okay, so because if I'm using the script for North Virginia, the North Virginia AMI ID for Ubuntu is different for like maybe Oregon or Ohio. The same AMI ID, if I give, my script will fail. Then if I use the mappings based on the key values, I'm going to assign if this is the region for Ubuntu, use this AMI ID. If this is the region, don't use the old AMI ID. These kind of mappings we can give. And the conditions are nothing but so suppose whenever you are entering a username password, we have a password kind of column, right? These minimum characters I want. If that parameters values not matching that condition, I'm not going to accept that parameter value. Say I want to pass one like MySQL kind of password. Then minimum I want 8 letters or 12 characters. That kind of condition I'm going to specify for my DB password. And if that condition not met, then I'm not going to accept that one. Okay, so then like here transform we have, that is for the micro processing that we'll discuss. But among all these, which is mandatory is
Resources block.
resources block. Remaining all are optional, but for the enhancement we are going to use like parameters, conditions, rules, mappings, okay, outputs, all this also we are going to do. Then here in the life cycle, we have a create a stack, then we can do the change sets, then otherwise update the stacks also we can perform using the change sets itself. Another advantage of the change set is it shows the preview also. These changes are going to happen. If you don't like that change, then you no need to accept that change also. Okay, so what is the main advantage is if you don't like that change, then you no need to accept that also. Okay, so then finally, if you don't want those resources, then we can do the delete of the stack also. So we can do the deletion of the stack also we can perform. Okay, yeah, any doubts on this? And coming to the cost, say the cost wise, AWS is not at all charging any amount for CloudFormation templates. AWS is not charging any money for the CloudFormation templates. Okay, so what AWS is charging is only for the resources, whatever we have created through the CloudFormation itself, they are going to charge. Even if they're given at free of cost also, people prefer to use Terraform itself because there are some advantages by using Terraform. But as the like a DevOps kind of engineer, we need to know CloudFormation templates, Terraform, okay, ARM templates, biceps, whatever it may be. But like we need to have good expertise on the Terraform wise, we require good expertise. So Terraform wise, we required. So good expertise we required. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? Say in the tomorrow session, I'll show this lab. Okay. Then in the same way, Terraform also almost same, but little CLI why we are using. That means more command line we are going to use. Before cloud also there is a Terraform in the physical servers, virtualizations, databases, containers. People used to do the automation using Terraform. It's not only on the cloud. The Terraform supports more than 100, even we can call as 1,000 plus providers also. Among that, one provider is AWS, one provider is Azure, one provider is GCP. That means like it's almost 100 to 1,000 times more powerful support features are there with the Terraform. Because CloudFormation is purely AWS wise itself. But if I use a Terraform, I can support multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, and I have on-premises databases, Kubernetes clusters. All these also we can automate using the Terraform kind of thing. That is the reason Terraform has become the leader in. Terraform has been the leader in
IAC.
the IAC. So Terraform is the leader in the IAC. Okay, so why it became the leader in the IAC is like it supports more than 1,000 plus providers are supported. Among these, one provider is AWS. But the CloudFormation, when it recommended to use is like client is having a very clear idea. In the future, he is not going to move to any other cloud and they can go on to go with the inbuilt solution itself. Then the CloudFormation is the better solution. Okay, but Terraform supports more than 1,000 features. There are some good features with the Terraform. There are some good features with the CloudFormation also. But which is simple is CloudFormation is simple to that compared to Terraform. So compared to Terraform, like a CloudFormation is very simple. That's the reason first we'll create the CloudFormation templates, all this. Then in order to perform these all, like instead of writing the script through GUI or something, okay, so what we can do is CloudFormation has given one designer kind of thing also. That means in the designer itself, we can create all the resources also. Means the templates, all those we can create even from the CloudFormation designer also. It's just a editor kind of thing. All the resources, whatever you want, you can create it from the CloudFormation designer we can create. From the CloudFormation designer, we can create. Okay, so how to use the designer also we'll discuss. But obviously the designer also is an advantage for CloudFormation compared to okay, so we can say the template kind of designer we don't have because it's a graphically. So now assume we have a template. Then that template I'm going to create a CloudFormation stack. The stack will keep that in the S3 bucket. It's going to upload the template temporarily. It's going to create a bucket. In that S3 is going to store, or we can give the S3 bucket path also where you can store the template. Then CloudFormation is going to communicate with the AWS SDK. So with the AWS SDK, it's going to create. Then SDK will authenticate whether that user have all the permissions, all those or not. Then its creation of resources is going to perform. Then it's going to create those resources also. So whatever the resources you want, most of the 99% of the AWS resources can be provisioned through. Most of the AWS resources can be provisioned through CloudFormation. The evaluation is like our learning wise, first it would be GUI, then it would be CLI, then CloudFormation, then it would be Terraform, then finally means you can use Python or maybe like Java kind of code, .NET. Using that also we can create the resources. But technically, all are hitting AWS SDK itself. That SDK will create those resources in the backend. I hope you got it right. Even if you hit from the GUI, if you click a launch that, it's going to hit the SDK itself. From CLI also, you run AWS, run instances, something, the commands also, that it also hits the C. CloudFormation also will hit the SDK. Terraform also will use SDK. Or programmatically, say, suppose Python, Java, .NET, Go, those also will hit the SDK itself. Yeah. Any doubts on this? But Terraform have more features compared to CloudFormation at the enterprise level. That is the reason a lot of companies are using Terraform, and it supports a hybrid and multi kind of cloud also. Not only that, they have even more benefits compared to CloudFormation. And in the same way, Azure also having ARM templates or ARM templates, Azure Resource Manager. Later now they given even one more IAC solution, Biceps also they have given. Okay, so now we want to use the Terraform. What we need to do is set Terraform will use the AWS SDK. They will expose all the resources. Then Terraform will provide one like a provider. Say if you want to use AWS, then we need to use AWS provider. If you want to use CloudFormation, sorry, if you want to use Azure, then Azure RM is the provider name. If you want to use GCP, then Google is the provider name. I want to use Kubernetes. I want to use MySQL. For everything, Terraform will develop a provider kind of thing. That provider is not developed on HCL. It's maybe Go language is developed. But who developed those? Terraform. We are using HCL. Means it's a very simple domain specific language, which is a declarative kind of thing, easy to understand. Line by line, it can be readable also. So one of the limitation or disadvantage what we can call is if Terraform also is supporting YAML or JSON, it would be very good. But Terraform came before itself. Like people nowadays in the DevOps unofficially, lot of tools are supporting YAML because it doesn't require any prior coding skills. You go for Kubernetes, you go for Docker, GitHub Actions, Azure pipelines. Okay, but before that we have Jenkins or we have like maybe Terraform. They're not taken that kind of standard. So that's the reason Jenkins also is supporting Groovy kind of language. Okay, whereas Terraform is using HCL. Their own. So these all called as DSL kind of thing. What is the meaning of DSL is? That's their own domain specific language that is. Okay, so nowadays, unofficially, what is the standard most of the DevOps tools are following is?
JSON.
Yeah, JSON or YAML they're using. JSON or YAML they're going to use. Okay, sure. Any doubts on this? So now we can use AWS GUI, we can use CLI, CloudFormation, Terraform. Okay, so for Terraform by default, it won't use that AWS, but if you have a provider, that provider having the plugins, all these, and we require the authentication, all those with that, because Terraform by default can't communicate with AWS SDK. And the backend, all the providers, mostly they developed using Go language, but we are not using Go language. We are using very simple script. That is the HCL. Any doubts on this? So Terraform scripts also, one of the advantages, those also declarative, very easy to understand. It's a human readable. That means by reading the script easily, we can tell that what's happening in the resources. Okay. Any doubts on this?
So what is AWS SDK?
AWS SDK is the software development kit. Say suppose I'll tell one example. You may be using Flipkart or something, right? So when you're using Flipkart, if you use the Google API or Google will have the SDK in the backend. Okay, that means if Flipkart is not authenticating you, who is authenticating? Your request is sent to Google SDK. That means it's a software development kit. What Google will do is they will expose those kind of APIs for the third-party applications also can communicate either programmatically or they can develop their own tools also. Okay, it's a software development kit, set of libraries, what AWS is exposed to everyone, and Terraform kind of or Ansible kind of products are programmatically like using Java, Python. We can use those libraries and we can develop our own like resource provisioning, automation can be done. Okay, I'll tell one more example. So now you are using Google Maps. Okay, Google will expose those APIs. Maybe like a Swiggy or like Zomato will use those APIs. With that, they're paying the money to the Google also. Means that Google Maps APIs or SDKs has been exposed by Google. Then Swiggy or these apps are using in the same way as the name suggests. AWS. What is the meaning of AWS? Amazon Web Services. Amazon also is exposing those APIs or through the SDK, and anyone can use those programmatically. That SDK we can use or CDK we can use. That's like it's a developer kind of documentation is available how to use that SDK. AWS will expose to everyone, and any developer can integrate that with their applications. But here you no need to go for that programmatic access. that programmatically all that things has been developed by Terraform in the provider itself. We just need to use a simple scripting using the HCL. Okay, so that means your HCL script is hitting HDK, or what the provider is hitting the HDK? Who is hitting the HDK?
Provider.
Provider. That who developed that code? Did we develop, or Terraform developed?
Terraform.
Terraform has developed. So just like assume one example I'll tell. We completely given all the user interface. Just user can click on the user UI level. But instead of UI level, we are using at the HCL level. But the backend, it is hitting the AWS SDK itself. Okay. Even when we are using GUI also, when we click on the launch button, AWS also that programmatically they may develop using Java, because Amazon mostly use the Java kind of programming, and they're hitting that SDK itself when you click the launch button. Okay. So nowadays everything is a REST API. Okay, so through that, the communication is going to happen between the heterogeneous systems or even in the homogeneous systems also. Means AWS console and AWS SDK both are homogeneous systems. Heterogeneous systems is from my application I want to create AWS, then that is a heterogeneous system. The Terraform provider communicating with the AWS SDK is homogeneous or heterogeneous? Is it homogeneous? It's heterogeneous because Terraform is a third-party tool. It's a third-party tool, right? It's not AWS product. Okay. So through our programming tools also we can automate that. You no need to worry about that programmatic access is little challenging. Okay. So our knowledge should keep till this IAC. If you have a programming background, then we can go for even using the Python kind of tools. Even say suppose if I tell one example, Python also, Python by default it can't authenticate with like a AWS SDK. In the middle it required Boto3. Then Boto3 have the capabilities. So that means that set of libraries that have the capabilities to communicate with AWS SDK. Java developers directly can use AWS SDK. Instead of SDK, that's maybe called as CDK also in some places. Cloud Development Kit. And backend, I'll tell one example. Say we have the we are launching an instance, right? Then AWS also that EC2 backend in the hardware, maybe for Gen server or sorry, it's using Gen source. Is going to communicate to using that Gen source SDK or Gen source APIs itself. It uses in the backend. Means Gen source also will expose some SDKs or CDKs. With that itself is going to communicate also. Means two different systems those are. Okay, so two heterogeneous systems. Say suppose you are using PhonePe will transfer to another bank account. All those also communicating over the APIs itself. Okay, so now every company is exposing those APIs. What is the advantage if Google is exposing that APIs is some millions of transactions are authenticating through GUI, right? If you use maybe Insta, you can authenticate maybe with GUI, sorry, with Google or Myntra, Flipkart, all those apps we are authenticating with our Gmail authentication itself, or you can use maybe Insta kind of, these are exposing those APIs. Otherwise, every company need to develop those authorizations, all those. But if you remember Gmail, like easy to authenticate those systems or not? Because we can't remember hundreds of username passwords for every app. That's the reason we are getting
Hey,
this kind of authentication also. Okay, so that is an example of web services kind of thing. But Google also in the developer edition, they'll give all their products SDKs they can give. Okay, so we can integrate. Okay, I want to integrate with PayPal, Paytm. Those also will expose those APIs. So with that, another system can integrate them easily. Like this, AWS also expose everything through
API.
SDK. Okay, so using the documentation, a developer can easily use all this provisioning through Java itself. We can write. Or if he is a Python background guy, Python he will use. He is a .NET guy, .NET he will use. Go language he will use. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? So in the tomorrow session, we'll create both the resources through CloudFormation. I'll create, and through Terraform also I'll create. Okay. So I'll share 2 more videos also related to this, and last week videos also I'll send you by today night. Try to finish all those.
Shrikant sir, just 2
Right.
minutes. I need 2 minutes of you after we are done. So I can have one-on-one, please.
We already spoke, right? I'm done for the day. I have another session now.
Acha,
Tomorrow we'll discuss. You already
sure.
spoke, right? Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.